The Atlantic hurricane season has officially begun, and forecasters are already watching some activity in the Gulf. CBS News senior weather and climate producer David Parkinson is here now to discuss. So, David, what are you watching? What are you tracking?
I mean, it is crazy to me that we were about 17 hours into the start of hurricane season, and already the National Weather Service has decided that we have met the criteria for Tropical Depression 2. This is it, and, you know, it doesn't look great, but you can definitely see as the satellite cycles here, you can see a little bit of an eye kind of trying to start to form. It's not much, but it's enough for them to declare it. 35-mile-an-hour winds is what we've got just about right now. But as the storm is expected to track south, the good news is it's not expected to hit the U.S. in terms of a direct impact. It's actually going to make its way all the way down towards Cuba. It will strengthen likely to Tropical Storm Arlene within the next 12 hours or so, and then weaken again as we get into the weekend. The problem, though, is that even though it's not going to make a landfall, there's enough tropical moisture being sort of slung around the system, and basically you're going to have the storm out here. Low pressure system has the winds coming in this direction, and so you're pumping Gulf moisture potentially into southwestern Florida and potentially down into Miami-Dade County and Broward County. The problem in those counties is that they had as much as a foot above where they should be thus far this year, and we're not even in the meat of their rainy season. So they do not need 6 inches of rain. The important thing that I want to give everyone as a takeaway from this map is you see these little areas here that could show you 6 to 9 inches. Do not focus on their location verbatim. Honestly, the models are not that good, but they are good at telling us that there could be a 6 to 9 inch bullseye in a couple of places, and that should get everybody at least perking up their attention. Even though we don't have a landfall, we could have something serious this weekend in terms of flooding.
And just, it goes tropical depression, tropical storm, and then it's the next level hurricane.
Yeah.
Okay, just for if we have to do this again, or if that happens in this case. Okay, now, David, NOAA has predicted a near normal hurricane season. That seems like one of those expressions that's just going to confuse me. So what does it mean to be near normal? And normal doesn't mean it's going to be sunny skies all day. Yeah, so it's interesting. The change actually that we have is a couple of things. So one, this average column has actually gone up in the last couple of years because the 2010s were so active. The actual 2022 year here, I know this looks like a financial statement, but 2022 actual year, we had 14 named storms, 8 hurricanes, and 2 major storms, of which Ian was the only one that hit the U.S. and actually caused a tremendous amount of damage. If you look at 2022, it was a nothing hurricane season, but for that one storm, and that one storm that altered the landscape of Southwest Florida forever. The average again here, 14.4 for named storms. The National Hurricane Center predicting 12 to 17. That's what we're seeing for this year. 5 to 9 hurricanes, which again, near average, 7.2. That gives you that range there. 1 to 4 majors. The average is 3. So we're actually thinking that that's a little bit shy. And the accumulated cyclonic energy, the ACE count, which is the intensity of a storm every hour for its existence, when you add it all up, it becomes this formula. Last year we had 95, showing you it was not that bad of a year compared with the average of 126. And we're expecting 125 this year. ACE is a new term for me. Yeah. So thank you, David. I'm going to be asking you lots of questions about ACE in the future, as if I know it intimately. My one big takeaway from this, John, if nobody realizes anything else, it's that when we take a look at the costliest hurricane seasons, last year was number 3 with 1 storm. It only takes 1. So you can have a below average season, you can have an average season. But if you have 1 major hurricane that rapidly intensifies near the U.S. coast, you can get a blockbuster one. So again, focus on the individual storm, not necessarily the totality of the season. David Parkinson, thank you for laying that out so nicely. Sure thing. Last year's hurricane season was the most expensive and destructive in Florida's history. In partnership with the Weather Channel, a CBS News investigation found how millions of residents lacked the proper home and flood insurance. CBS's Manuel Bojorquez tells us the story of one family who learned this the hard way.
You're walking into the living room.
56-year-old Diana Mercado was one of 2 million Floridians under evacuation orders when Hurricane Ian hit last September, pummeling the state with 150-mile-per-hour winds and rain.
So is this your kitchen?
Mercado says Fort Myers' home was filled with waist-deep water. Sarai Santos is her daughter.
I get to her house and it's not the same house.
All the water kind of came from the back.
Mercado had home insurance, but without flood insurance, she could not afford the out-of-pocket repairs, estimated to be between $50,000 and $70,000. Residents like Mercado who live in FEMA flood zones are federally required to have flood insurance. But Mercado says she was never informed by real estate or insurance agents that her property was in one of those zones.
If they told me you need to have it, I would have gotten it, but I didn't know.
Florida is one of 21 states with no requirements to disclose flood risks to home buyers. And for many lower-income residents, the cost of flood insurance is unaffordable. In Florida, it's nearly $1,000 a year. Dr. Rick Knabb is the tropical weather expert for the Weather Channel.
Doesn't seem very fair in general to put the flood insurance burden so heavily on the people who can least afford it.
These are things that were taken from the house?
Yeah.
8 months after the storm, Mercado says rebuilding is slow.
How would you describe what this experience has been like?
I cannot say that I'm homeless, but I think it feels like, okay, you're homeless. I have her. She's been great to me.
Indeed, they do have each other. We should also mention that FEMA recently changed the way it calculates flood insurance prices. So in high-risk areas, premiums under the National Flood Insurance Program could go up by thousands. John?
Manuel Bojorquez in Miami. Thank you.